Much of the pushback that I get from talking to people about the idea of living in lesser known countries around the world that offer lower taxes, that offer more freedom is, but what about safety? What about healthcare? What about longevity? And no matter how much I explain that you have up and coming healthcare industries that are doing an amazing job in countries like Thailand, in Malaysia, in the UAE, in Panama, countries all over the world are doing well. There's this idea that the Western world for the last century has dominated the conversation of health and longevity. And yet now we're seeing statistics going the wrong direction when it comes to life expectancy. I'm going to share some of those numbers with you, which countries are seeing an actual decline in life expectancy, and why that is so important for nomad capitalists to be aware of. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. Here at Nomad Capitalist, we've spent years helping 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs legally go where you're treated best. You can learn more about us at nomadcapitalist.com. And I found an article both on Business Insider and also on a Swedish newspaper's website that proclaimed the headline that Swedish life expectancy is dropping. The country's statistics agency said that for the first time, the average age people live has steadily increased in Sweden from 1900 through 2019, they said. The fact that it's now falling stands out. For men, average life expectancy has already fallen to 80.8 in the year 2020 through August, down from 81.3, so half a year shaved off of your life expectancy, the statistics agency said. For women, it went from 84.7 to 84.4. Now, these are not huge declines, but what interests me is the actual country's government stats agency is saying this is troubling. It stands out because over those last 119 years, there were pandemics, there were wars, there was all kinds of chaos that happened. They constantly tell us how now is one of the best times to be alive. It's one of the best times for longevity, and that being the citizen of a Western country has given the promise of living longer and healthier lives. And so now even the government is alarmed that life expectancy is dropping. And it's not just in Sweden. Another article I found talked about how a team jointly led by UCLA in California, Fielding School of Public Health, researchers there have found that the United States falls well behind other countries in life expectancy while spending the most money on health care, nearly twice as much per capita, as other wealthy countries. In the US, we've seen headlines in the last year or two about how life expectancy is not going up the way it should be. Spain also measurably dropping due to COVID. The term measurably from a newspaper in Spain. In the UK, Glasgow, apparently the part of the UK with the lowest life expectancy, has one area, not the place that perhaps you'd want to live, but the Calton area, where the life expectancy is just 54 years for men. And that is not a sudden change, that is just a continuation of how it's been. In the UK as a whole, they are set to meet, or rather to miss, life expectancy targets for the first time in a long time. Meanwhile, if you look at other cities, I just saw a report out of Shanghai, for example, life expectancy is going up. In South Korea, life expectancy in 2020 is going up. And so, for me, this is another example. I don't like to pick on the Western countries, but they make it too easy because they go out and they've positioned themselves as brand names like Louis Vuitton, like Hermes, like Gucci. They are the brand names that people flock to. And people overpay. It's like the sales pitch. Listen, you're going to pay more to be here, but you're also going to get more. It's not a bad pitch if it happens to be true. What are we seeing? What I see when I drive on the roads in the US, the last time I was there years ago, and even when I was a child growing up in Ohio, I see roads where you're constantly swerving to avoid potholes in many parts of not only the US, but other Western countries. And then I go to Dubai and I drive on some of the cleanest paved roads. I go to Malaysia, we drive all over the country. I see amazingly paved roads in countries where the tax burden is, if not zero, at least much less, much lower than it would be in those Western countries. And so as people have bought into this Western dream of how this is where you can go to be safe. We've seen more and more crime in countries like the US, more and more crime in countries like the UK. Obviously that may not impact your neighborhood, but look at what happened this year with the riots in the US. They said, we're coming for the suburbs. We're going to expand. We're going to get out of the cities. And so With healthcare, the same thing. While we've seen Turkey and the UAE and Singapore and Malaysia and Thailand and Panama and Mexico and Brazil and others, Chile and many more, develop their healthcare systems to attract medical tourism. Even India has some great areas where they specialize in certain types of surgeries. They are among the world leaders. You have seen systems, particularly in the US, but also in Western countries, decline. And now they can't even keep you alive as long as possible. You can blame a pandemic, but again, there have been many adverse events over the last 120 years that they're quoting, and you don't have to take my opinion for it because the government is actually coming out and saying, this is disturbing. And so the thing that they've been charging you for, the thing that people hold dear the most, okay, you can deal with roads with potholes in them. You can deal with, government services and the offices don't work past 3:30 and the post office delivers your mail late and stuff gets lost. All right, you can handle all that. That's just normal stuff. Don't get too upset. But when it comes to the thing that people say they value the most, their health, the thing that money can't buy, the Western governments, these are small declines to start, but I thought it was about constant improvement. I thought, we're constantly getting things better. The West is leading the future in terms of healthcare improvements and longevity. But in many cases, they're declining, while countries in places like Asia are actually increasing their life expectancy. Now, we can go into all the different ways why and all the different reasons why that's happening. You can say, I don't trust China. I think most people would probably trust South Korea. And so you're paying a fortune to buy into a brand name that now cannot perform the most basic function. They cannot keep you alive as long as they did in the year before. And so to me, that's disturbing. And what it points out is that you have countries where the playing field is being leveled. You can go and live in Malaysia. You can go and live in Panama. You can go and live in Dubai or even Istanbul. And you can live just as long as you will in a Western country. Now, you may not want to do that, and that's fine. Many people go and they buy shoes at Gucci and they realize, you know what? These shoes may be better quality, they may be cooler, they may be nicer looking, maybe a higher quality leather than the shoes down the street that are 1/10 the price, but they're not 10 times better. And you may understand I'm overpaying to a certain degree to buy into this brand name because it feels comfortable. I like associating with it. I like living here. My friends are here. That's fine. But you can't say when countries are coming out from the government themselves and saying this is disturbing, that life expectancy in these countries that were supposed to have it all figured out, you're paying them half of your money to have it all figured out and to take care of you. In some cases, like in Sweden, from cradle to grave, they can't even perform that most basic function anymore, while other countries that take a lot less are doing a better job. This, to me, is the free market at work. When a company wants to charge you a ridiculous price and deliver bad service, someone else starts up and offers and better promotes their service where it's half the price and you get a better service. In the free market, everyone's going to that service, whether it's a cable company, a phone company, or a restaurant. But for some reason, the reasons, perhaps excuses people use to stay in their country are slowly being eroded as government services in Western countries are failing at even the most basic levels. This is yet another reason to go where you're treated best. You can keep more of your money in the process, and perhaps you can even add years to your life. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.